affluency reflected by ambiency. You step with the lights on, and cash. It was loud, it was smelly, the way that we're making it, but didn't matter. It became a fashion symbol. And I think we in the last 5 years, we were there making electricity in the basement, in principle, with these rectangles that are on your laps. And these things that you hold up. Everyone, right now it's the iPhone, it's the thing. For me, that's not what it was meant to be. That's not what it's going to be. And I think the way we define these devices are not what they are, and I'll speak a little bit about that in the next few minutes. But the electricity was interesting because it was a fashion symbol. Then something happened when it became ubiquitous and it finally had its impact on the Industrial Revolution, was when it disappeared. When electricity disappeared, then it had its effect. Right? We figured out how to convey this utility or this substance over vast distances, so we created this wide area network. Then we created a standard, not TCP/IP, back then it was ACDC, a mechanism to tether onto this network. Then there was a permanent utilization. When we did those three things, we essentially took electricity away from being something that was experiential physically, and we made it a functional engagement. Then it wasn't about electricity anymore, it was about what it incurred, what it meant, what its consequence was. Sustainable businesses that were built around electricity in this way were businesses that understood it. It wasn't about understanding electricity better, it was about understanding its consequence, its usage, its function, and how to harness that. Those are businesses that are still around today, right? GE is probably one of the last companies out there that has their origins in understanding electricity and making products around the understanding of electricity. Because governments finally took over and it became a utility and it became a service. Now when we walk into this room, we don't care where the stuff comes from. We care for its function. We want to have an event. We want to present slides. We want light to see each other. Now we have electricity in our pockets. You have it in your car. You have it in your phone. You have it on you right now in your lap. In that camera right now, there's electricity in it. So it's not the electricity of things. It's the electricity in things. And I hear people always speak about the Internet of Things, and I think it's the wrong definition. It's not the Internet of Things. It's the Internet in things. Because the Internet of Things is an incorrect architectural render of what it actually is. It's not things speaking. It's things speaking intelligently because they have inherent qualities and attributes that either are sensory aware or they understand their context and they render and they... we need to build more intelligence into inanimate objects. We should not try to disconnect inanimate objects. And I think that's the next phase that we're going into from a technological perspective. We are not going to see more technology. What we need to be building is less technology for the user. Right? So if you take a look at your computing experience in the 90s, we bought PCs. We bought kind of mice and keyboards and screens on the outside. And to enable this thing was similar to the way electricity was derived early. Right? You put disks into its mouth and you fed it. And then it made noise when it ate those things up. I'm from the floppy disk. Before then, I'm not a tape guy, but you know, the floppies, remember that? You put it in, and then you had the stiffies that came after that, and etc. You fed, and when you got the manual, the box with the software, you went and bought it, you opened it up, you took the big fat white manuals out, put it on the side, and you know, you fed it, and you got your kid in to connect the thing to the printer because you didn't understand how it worked properly, and then connecting to the internet, we screamed. The machine screamed. And then connecting to the internet, those modems, and off we went. It was very arcane, it was beautiful, it was amazing. But it was not what it was going to be. Today, you walk into an iStore, you take an iPad, get it in the box, you open it up, it doesn't even come with a user manual. You take it out, there's no external mouse, there's no external keyboard. This notion of putting software, no, it's gone. You give it to a 2.5-year-old kid that can't read, and they can fully utilize that because it's gesture-oriented. Suddenly we took a jump from being physically engaged with technology, and suddenly we have a functional experience, not a physical engagement. And I think that's where everything will go. You know, payment will go that way. Payment won't be about you putting your card into everything. It won't be about you taking your phone out and tapping it onto something and then a slip comes out. That's technology people talking about payment. What payment will be is you will walk in, take your bread and muffin and your coffee, you will walk out, and you'll get an SMS notification saying you paid $36 for it. Right? That's when you buy a coffee on Fredman, right? $36. You'll get a notification. You will pay without paying. And this is the disappearance. Amazon.com, Jeff Bezos, I spoke to him a couple of years ago in New York. We were at a conference, and he asked a question at the table, and I said, Yes, Amazon is valuable and it's been successful because of its supply chain and its innovation and the way it runs the business, AWS, EC2, cloud, sure. But his silver bullet was everyone focused on making a prettier shopping cart. Jeff Bezos killed the shopping cart. That's where one click comes from. One dash click, he owns that on the internet. Right? When you go to Amazon, you don't pay better, you get your book. In technology, people all want us to pay better. Look at the shopping cart, it can do this, it's got these features, it's better for the user. No, the users don't want shopping carts, they want the book. Payment becomes a functional engagement within the object of relevance. It does not become the thing that the user engages with. And then technology world, T-Systems, I want to almost share this. I think that's what I believe, that's the phase that we're going in right now. It's not going to be about more technology, although it will be. It will be about the death of visualization of technology. We're not going to see more of it. We're going to functionally engage with it more. I think that's going to be the future. Now, let me just take you back a little bit, like, to give you more examples. You had the Google, you know, if you take a look at this, say Google. You had the map book when you got lost. Remember when you got lost, you took the map book out the car and you kind of A7 figured out where you were, right? And it never needed a battery and it always works. And you know, some of you used it to get here this morning. It's reliable, right? Some of you think, but the map book you took out of your car, and the map book is what happened to the map book, right? We overlaid technology on top of it, and its first instantiation was a beautiful. We went from physically touching Geo, the map book, then we had a beautiful visual render of the map book called Garmin and TomTom and GPSs in the dashboards of our cars, and it became Google Maps on the phone, and it's a beautiful visual render. If you were to ask what comes after Google Maps, a prettier Google Maps, sure, but what's the fundamental shift thereafter? I'll venture to say it's probably the Google autonomous driving vehicle. It is when Geo moves from being physical to visual to its disappearance and it becomes functional. It's the blind guy getting into the car, you see Google advertising and it says, take me to Taco Bell. And the car takes him to Taco Bell safely and all the way back, right? That is the function of technology when it's actually useful, is when it dissipates. And we utilize it on an intrinsically relevant manner in real time, and it executes the way we want it to. Now, the only reason we can do that today is not because we have better algorithms. It's because we finally have all the data. You know, one of the Google engineers, I remember when I worked at Google, I asked the Google driving, autonomous driving guys, before it became public, they were messing around in the parking lot, and I got, not that I knew the guy at all, I just asked the question. I said, why, you know, the DARPA challenge, just 7, 10 years ago, the car that won could go for half an hour, and it could go the full length, I think over 7 days or something. And he says, yeah, the only difference between that DARPA car and this car in the parking lot right now is data. We don't have better algorithms, we just have all the data. He says it's so much easier when you have to build a product and you don't have to ask the question, is there a traffic light? You have to ask the question, is it green, amber, or red? And we're in that world right now. That's, for me, cloud computing. Cloud computing is not big data, right? It is. I think it's rich algorithms that execute in real time in a federated manner. So I think we're doing big technology shifts. We're moving away from technology being an experiential experience, and it's becoming more of a function. And guess what? It's becoming more ubiquitous. It's in everything now. There is no one that does not have technology. If you take a look at an iPhone 5S, you lift it up, hold it in your hand. I believe in the next 3 to 4 years, that will be the entry-level prepaid phone of everyone in terms of its capability and its functionality. That will be a prepaid phone. It will be a basic phone. Now that thing is not a phone, right? That's not a phone. We should stop calling it, because you define it as a phone and it is not what it is. It's a sensory peripheral, for me it's a sensory peripheral real-time rendering engine. That's what a phone is. And I think a phone is probably the personification of the next generation of cloud. Because everyone talks about cloud and it's like thin client, thin pipe, fat cloud. No. I think we need to redefine cloud. And I'm going to try and do it today. I'm going to call it Smurfs. Okay. Hackers, great book, get it. The origin of this, and I think these are the innovators. Hackers, to me, they are the underlying innovators. I love Tim O'Reilly's quote. You know what Tim O'Reilly says? He says, true innovation and organic invention doesn't exist amongst entrepreneur or business people. It doesn't exist there. It exists when people are having fun. If you want to know where the next generation of things are going to come from, don't look at the Zuckerbergs and the Larrys. Don't. Look at the folks around in the universities that are just doing stuff, not because they want to make money, but because they're just having fun. Let's look at some of the folks in history that have done this. Now that's in our industry, and we know these folks, right? Jobs and that. These guys were, just hacking. They were messing around. And you take a look at, these things that have popped up on Kickstarter, Twine. A bunch of kids. We actually met them in New York, and one of them is working at Thumbs Up now. And they just took a very simple motion sensor, accelerometer, and they put it in a soap bar, and they hung it on a door. And they did a very simple rules engine. When that accelerometer is not this time of the day, after 7, then tweet that the door's been opened. Right? Very, very simple. And it was fun. And this is long ago, right? This is like 7 years ago. And now we're all talking about the Internet of Things, and things connected. And these kids were just messing around with it back then. You take a look at these other people. Here's a bunch of kids, bottom left, innovating. Just having fun. One guy, he's you may have seen this video before, but that guy with the wood over his head, his dad's actually blind. And what they were doing is they built this, they used Beagleboard, Connect, and they used a couple of things, and they created this belt that he wraps around him, throws this little sensory veil over his head, and as he walks, when that guy goes near him, he feels that that person's near him, so he feels the proximity of things. And this is because his dad's guide dog died. And the process of getting a guide dog, teaching guys is quite intricate. So he wanted to build something that mitigated the need for a guide dog if you were blind. Right? And just hacking. Watch that person putting, sensory stuff into a prosthetic. And now we're seeing prosthetics now. Take a look at the prosthetics. I reckon in the next 5 to 10 years, let me make this a little prediction. You will look at your normal arm, and you will look at an augmented potential arm that you could get. And I think that arm will be better than this arm. I think the Olympics, not this one, I think the one that will come thereafter, the Special Olympics will be the people that run fast, that swim fast, jump higher, they'll be better than you and I. The naturals will be slower. Okay. Quantified self, this is now a big movement. Quantified self was all about people getting together and just taking data about their lives and their biology and sharing it in a communal basis and picking up trending and data associated with it. Very, very interesting. And we all know this, you guys are from Geocities, so we know Raspberry Pi, Arduino. It's becoming more and more relevant that people are hacking. I mean, my kids are using this. I was on Jenny Chris Williams' show yesterday talking about parents buying more of this stuff for their kids. Don't buy your kid the brand labeled shoe, or buy them a Raspberry Pi. Buy sensors, Arduino sensors. My kids are now using botanical kits. It's a little botanical kit. You can go Google it, botanical kits Arduino, and it's a guy that wrote a book. He put in a whole API set together. Very, very simple. You can make the pot plants tweet in your house. Get it for your kids. And this is what we need to start doing from an innovations perspective, because this is where the grassroots stuff will happen. It's getting kids interested in making, not just consuming. In South Africa, too many of the parents that you sit with brag about how their kids can use their phone. You should see my kid with my phone. Yeah. You should see my kid with my tablet, or what he does with this, or the Xbox, etc. When you go to Brooklyn, New York, we have a startup there at the moment. Every time we sit down with parents there and friends, they brag about how their kid's making his next phone, or he's making his own iPad, or he's doing this. Right? We need to change our mindsets, make our kids makers, not just amazing configurers of technology. And again, these are the underlying shifts that proliferates innovation. Because innovation is no longer the domain of a few. R&D within organizations is no longer valid. If you're an organization today, it's not about investing X amount of R&D. No. It's now about how collaborative your environment is. How able are you to harness collective human intelligence on the outside of your business into your business versus building out a huge R&D budget. In the Industrial Revolution, big skyscraper, big business, that was your competitive edge. Then after that came these next generation knowledge working, information working concepts and cultures. Those things are good, collaborative, but now we need to have co-creativity. The new mantra for every business out there is co-creation. It's not just building a better company, bigger product, because you know what, us as consumers, we don't want better products and services. We don't. You know what we want? We want architectures of participation. We want ecosystems. Every business out there that is so focused on making a better product, and all the innovation goes into, no, stop. It's not about understanding your product and service better. It's about understanding humanity more. And that's what I tell, innovation lays there. Innovation lies in your understanding of humans, not in your understanding of technology. Sustainable businesses in the Industrial Revolution weren't the businesses that understood electricity. It was the businesses that understood the consequence of electricity And the consequence of technology in our age today is not technology itself. Don't focus on that. Focus on the impact on humanity. Because sustainable businesses now are co-creative businesses. They are not businesses that build great products and services. The most valuable businesses in the world today, in the top 10 in aggregate, are not your businesses that make great products and services. Oh, that's it. You've got Google in there, you've got Facebook in there, you've got Twitter in there. But take a look at those businesses. If you take all our stuff, all our tweets out of Twitter, what's that? If you took all our stuff that we put into Facebook out of Facebook, what's that? If you took all our videos out of YouTube, what is YouTube? See, the most valuable businesses in the world today are businesses that build platforms for human engagement. They build architectures of participation. They build ecosystems. They don't just build great products and services. And every business right now out there is struggling with this. They're trying to innovate by harnessing their mindsets and understanding technology better. No. It's about understanding humans more and getting those humans in. Joy's Law, Exxon Microsystems CTO, right? They call it Joy's Law. Bill Joy. And his law is no matter what business that you are in, no matter who you are organizationally, there's always smarter people on the outside, more of them than on the inside of your business. It's about getting that collective human intelligence harnessed around your business. That's sustainability now. That's what technology can enable. Right? It's not about the technology. Just before this, I had a meeting with quite a well-known guy. I mean, most of you know Laurie Dippena. And I said something at a conference, and he questioned me, and he wanted to see me this morning about it because he didn't agree. And I said that we're moving away because of technology. We're moving away from people owning things. People want to access things. That's the new business model now. People don't want to own things anymore. They want to access it. Why? Because technology is so pervasive, it's everywhere and in everything. Now forget that, because that's the Internet of Things. That's the Internet in things. What does that mean? It means human behavior changes around consumption of certain products and services. Right? I don't want a CD with 12 tracks that I can only play on this. I don't want iTunes because my iTunes is filled up and it's horrible now, it's big and it's clunky. You know what I want? I want Spotify. I pay $35 a month and I get access to all the music I want in my car, on my phone, on my PC, on my laptop, on all the devices. That ubiquitous, pervasive access to technology suddenly creates a business model where I don't want to own music anymore. I want to access it wherever I am, and I want to eat as much of it as I wish for $35 a month. And it's moving into the physical world. You go to New York, you go to Chicago, you go to San Francisco, you don't own a car anymore. You sign up for, what's that thing that Steve K started? I forget the name. You pay them $75 a month. They give you a little app. You're sitting in a meeting in Manhattan, you say, I need to get to Connecticut. It says, okay, how many passengers? 3, okay, 4-door sedan, 2 blocks away. Do you want it? Yes. You walk down, you take the little token that they issue to you, you open up the car, you get in, you drive as much as you want. You're done, you leave, and you walk away. The notion of owning a vehicle is arcane. Why own it? Right? It's silly. Why own a bicycle when you live in New York? You go to bicycle share. Bicycling becomes a service. You know, cars are a service. Now the mayor says, wait a minute, let's integrate all of that. So now you pay the city $80 a month and you get a subway token that works on the car and it also works on all the bicycles. The benefit to the city is now they get transversal data federation. They can see trends and patterns of people that have bikes means this. They can do analytics and they can do predictive stuff and all that good stuff. All that big data stuff that you guys keep talking about. Right? It's incredible how that notion of not owning stuff. Right? Netflix, don't own the movie, pay them X and you get access to the Netflix library. You know, the notion of owning a game console will go away. More and more you will see, slowly as we move along and things like social media becomes more hyper-local. I live in Parkhurst now, I moved. I just love Parkhurst, so I've moved there recently. And guess what? It's a very communal area. And I think if someone could build, this is an idea, if someone could build a hyper-local, there's companies like Nextdoor.com, but in South Africa, where someone can just buy a hyper-local social network. Because, I have gardening equipment, the guy next to me has gardening equipment, we all have gardening equipment. We all have duplication, we're buying stuff exactly the same. If you can kind of surface that, because of the connectivity, and suddenly you'll have efficiency, and we can share, we can do things, we can save money. This guy hacking flight. These guys were very, very interesting. The Wright brothers, they hacked flight, and they're probably the best hackers, the greatest innovators that I know. The notion of flying was what? Never. Their dad was the guy that said if man wanted to fly, God would have given him wings. It was their father that said that. Those guys wanted to fly, and from there came the aviation industry. From there came, the aircraft and the transport. Not because they wanted to sell planes, it's just because they wanted to fly. Watch this guy here. He's crazy, and some of the things that he says is really, really cool. These are hackers, right? This is an apartment in New York where somebody just on the bicycle share points, they put a little sensor. It has no screen. Now you notice with these technologies now, more and more, we're seeing the screen die. Where it's less about a screen, it's more a parameter that has a meaning that gets rendered to you. This is something that just on a little map, someone printed it, and boards, all it tells us is, are there bicycles at those bicycle share points or not? Remember when we had Geocities? Remember that in the 90s, middle 90s, 1994, 95. What was the internet? I was looking at telecom in those days. When we went on the internet, it was, remember the guy with the shovel on the internet, the yellow and black little under construction signs. Geocities, people just hacked and made things on the internet. From that came Google. From that came Facebook. From that came eBay. This is what you see happening again, a physical Geocities is spawning. People are taking hardware, they're taking things, they're making it. Don't underestimate what's going on. Things that, the Maker Faire. This is interesting in Brooklyn, in New York. They're now putting wherever you walk in Brooklyn now, there's USB sticks in the walls all over the place. Right? You can plug your laptop into it and you can dump a file on there, tell your friend, your company T-Systems gives you attachment limit to the corporate email, put it on there. And everyone says you can't do it because there's going to be viruses and Trojans. No, it's not. It's more cleanness. It's cleaner than the internet, that network. And it works really, really well in Brooklyn. Right? But I think this speaks to something. This is an inanimate object having the ability to store data and have a relevance to you. I think we'll see more of these things. These were hackers too, in my opinion. The artists of the world, the mathematicians of the world, all these folks hack movies, they hack music, they hack filmmaking. Hacking is not just the domain of the few, and that's where innovation lies, is when folks are having fun. Let's keep moving on. System ecosystem about. Connectivity, the genie's out the bottle. In South Africa, people always say, but not everyone's connected, it's expensive. Stop, work backwards, just assume everyone has broadband. That's reliable and work backwards. Your business model can't be based on LSMs anymore. It changes too quickly. Technology doesn't move, I'm going to talk about something now. I don't know if I should, but I want to talk about cloud in a second. Let's talk about it for a second. I don't think technology moves sequentially, but we always build our business plans and businesses as though technology moves sequentially. It moves exponentially. You take 0 to 30 steps, you take 30 steps, you're 30, you're 30. You take exponential steps 30 times. You get to 30 with a billion. And technology does move this. We know Moore's law, we know all those laws, right?